Today's episode of the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast is brought to the good people by Budget Blinds.
Budget Blinds!
Hey, quick note from those benevolent robot shade overlords. While the
hail.
showroom home of the Signature Series Automated Shades is closed, they're still providing in-home consultations, and you can connect with them if you're ready to make your home a smart home. Call 816-554-7779 or email leesummit@budgetblinds.com and set up your virtual consultation today. Oh, and one more note, Jason.
You getcha.
Tell them Jason Nick sent you.
As always. All right, we are also brought today by our continuing and ongoing plea to do what you can to support local. So shop those places, get gift cards, takeout, delivery, any kind of thing you can do to help them. They're struggling just as much as the rest of us. So take a little bit of time when you can. Go support local businesses.
Hello and welcome to this Friday conversation episode of the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. With me today are Glenda Masters, the community or cultural arts manager. I almost got your title wrong, Glenda. And Aimee Fresia, art teacher for Prairie View Elementary and the elementary department chair for the Lee Summit R7 School District. Aimee, Glenda, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
I think you are all now repeat guests. Glenda, this is like visit number 3.
It is.
Number 2 for you, Aimee?
Yep.
So we have a club. At a certain point, you hit a number, then maybe you get a jacket or something. I need to figure that out. I asked you guys to come on today. We've had, in the last few weeks, we've had a couple of episodes of the podcast where we've talked about mental well-being and things to do to cope with our stay-at-home orders and everybody getting a little stir-crazy, both from being cabin fever, stuck in our homes, but also because we're stuck here with our families and we love them, but they won't go away, or they can't go away and we can't go away. I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about art and making pretty things and what can we do. I know when this first started, if you saw on social media and other things, lots of people doing, just picking up projects and enthusiastic and trying new things. Well, we're 3 and 4 weeks in now, and the novelty of quarantine is gone. And I feel bad saying it that way, but we thought, and Glenda, you and I worked together through the Lee Summit Arts Council, and we thought maybe it'd be a good idea to not only talk about some different things and some fun things we can do both by ourselves and also as group projects with our families, but also, Glenda, as a way to spread it through the Arts Council. We'd love to share some projects. We'd love to put that out on social media. So if you do some fun things, or you want to do some things we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes or so, tag Lee Summit Arts Council on Facebook or on Instagram. We've got a hashtag ArtsLS. So do that. And if you listen up in a little later, we're going to talk about, you might be able to win some fun swag from us. So Glenda, what have you guys been doing? Have you been doing anything fun? I know you play the violin.
I do. Yep. I play the violin. And so a few weeks ago, we did recorded myself doing a video of playing some music that you put out there into the universe for me. And so that was really fun. I think in terms of, when we talk about art and music being very therapeutic, that was something that I really appreciated being asked to do, because it's been a while actually since I really picked up my violin and actually spent some time playing and practicing and getting back into it. So
it was awesome, by the way.
Thanks.
It was fantastic. And that's the other thing that we're doing it through Links Lee Summit is the hashtag LS Music Therapy. I haven't had any submissions this week. I'm feeling a little down. I need some more music, so people should send those to me.
Hopefully us talking about it will kind of re-spark the energy.
Right.
Some more music in. Because you're right, we need some more music. We could use that.
Aimee, what does art do for you? What kind of therapeutic things is it for you? Is it an escape for you, or because it's your job, has it lost some of that quality?
I would say that I do it more than ever. Like, I can no longer feel the tips of my fingers from knitting so much. And I found out that little yarn shop in downtown Lee Summit will deliver, which is like,
wow.
Delivers by the afternoon.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So it's real tempting. So pretty much knit. I've like already today I've done knitting and I've done painting and I've, been outside. So
one of the things that I have noticed is that, so I also have a lot of yarn, but I haven't knitted or crocheted in a very long time. So it's really just been sitting in my basement. And so a couple of months ago, I put some of it up on eBay to sell it, and it just sat there for a while. But within the last week, I have sold so much of my old yarn. I have to list the rest of it. So yeah, I think people are picking up the needles again, and the knitting needles and the crochet hooks, and they can knit. And I've heard a lot of people knitting or crocheting masks so that they can have them when they go to stores or something like that.
You talk about knitting and the yarn. So I want to say why, because Aimee, you've done one of the coolest art projects I think in the last few years here in Lee Summit. You did a yarn bombing outside of City Hall, and you made these. Can I call them blankets for trees?
Yeah, some people call them sweaters.
Tree sweaters.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. I love weird art in places where it doesn't belong. To me, that's just intriguing. It's fun. Where did you get that idea? How does that happen?
I was a fiber major at the Art Institute. That's my background. I have a BFA. And I just was sitting around one day and wanted to learn how to crochet, and I couldn't figure it out. First, I want to learn how to knit. So I got a book from the Mid-Continent Public Library and taught myself how to knit. And then I started crocheting, and I didn't want to do the granny squares because they seemed old lady to me. So I started doing circles. And then I realized all the colors I was using are the same colors I used to use in the fiber department at the Art Institute. And then I'd heard about yarn bombing started in like Scandinavia or someplace in 2014. And so I just started wrapping my tree in my front yard, and it became this huge thing. Like if our dog gets out and somebody calls me because it's on her tag, I'll say, we're the house with the tree. And they always go, oh, we know where that is. So then I responded to an ad in I think it was the Lee Summit Parks and Rec publication, looking for artists for a show at City Hall. And I was having a show there of my prints. And then I think I emailed Glenda and said, so this is really weird, but can I yarn bomb the trees in front of City Hall? And sent a picture.
And she went, bomb, what?
And I was pretty sure she would say no, but it was an immediate yes. And I was like, okay, well, I'll come and
do it and take care of it. Yeah. And the thing that was pretty interesting too is that I was pretty familiar with the yarn bombing concept. And actually, I had one of our members on the Arts Council a while back, Dean Akins. She had shared with me pictures of, I think, the tree in your front yard. Just kind of knew how cool that was. And but I was pretty familiar with the concept too. And so when she came and asked me, for me, I was immediate yes, because I'm Nick, I'm kind of like you. I think art in unusual places, one, it just stands out so much more, and it captures your attention so much better. And so when she had asked for the trees in front of City Hall, I was like, well, I don't have a problem with it, but let me run it, by some folks just to make sure we can kind of get blessings and approvals and just make sure that we're okay. And no one had a problem with it, and they went up and they were a blast. It was great to see people kind of stop and look at them and take pictures of them. And
what was reaction like at City Hall? Because right or wrong, I don't think that any City Hall has a reputation of, being a place for crazy. So what was reaction there? Where you have, you've got people doing serious people doing serious work, right? Coming in and out of there. What was reaction like?
It was positive for sure. We had a lot of visitors to City Hall, a lot of employees just kind of say, that's really cool. That's really neat. And again, I think even more so just kind of seeing people walk down the street and you kind of see them like stop and look at it and go, that's pretty cool. And then they would take a picture. So yeah, it was very positive.
I think for me, it's kind of, at Christmas time, everybody says, why can't we keep the trees lit up and decorated year round? Everyone has that feeling, right? Well, that's kind of what this was to me, is it was a way to have a bunch of color and light and fun stuff around the trees at a different time of year than we usually do it. So that was a lot of fun. So here I'm going to beg this is really why you're here today, Aimee, is I'm begging. I want more yarn bombing.
Oh, I would do it. I have so much in my basement right now.
Okay, I do have to ask one question. How do you actually do it? I mean, I assume you can knit a blanket, but you have to wrap it. How does it work?
Well, I crochet circles all the time. I crochet it in church. I crochet all the time. I always have it in my purse. And so our pastor had to deliver palms a few weeks ago to our house, and he's like, "Yep, found you right away." So I do circles all the time. I have them with me all the time. And then I have a long tapestry needle and I stitch them together. So at City Hall, I went and did drawings and measurements. So I knew exactly. And then I just stitched it on real quick. So
that's so much fun. I think it's really cool. I would love to see on 3rd Street, all of the trees up and down 3rd Street there. Donnie Rogers from downtown Main Street is probably going to throw things at my house for saying this out loud, but I would love to do that. I think it would be so cool if Parks Department wanted to get in on it and we yarn bombed a park. That would be really neat, especially one of the ones they're fixing up because they're going through and redoing some of the parks around town. That'd be a fun grand opening to me. So here I am throwing out big ideas for everybody else around town.
Well, and the simplest thing though is that people can just, like Aimee, just start with the trees that are in their yard. I learned how to knit and crochet too, just the same way that Aimee did. Just kind of grab a book or look at a tutorial online, and I definitely have a book of different types of granny squares. But yeah, it's just kind of and there's so many different ways you can do it. You can go onto Pinterest, on any different type of website, or just Google searches and things like that, and just find different variations of that. And some people will, you can kind of tell that they've either knitted or crocheted just lines in different colors. And so it kind of the tree. I've seen the different granny squares and the circles, and some people, if they can't knit or crochet, they'll just yarn wrap it around the tree. So there's definitely different ways to do that. So if you don't want to go to a park and do that, which is fully understandable, to put that in there, start with the trees in front of your house.
So your position at City Hall does not have the authority to grant permission for us to go to the parks, is what you're saying?
I'm going to say that's a very strong yes.
So Aimee, what is the tree like at your house? I mean, are you up the trunk and out on branches now?
Well, I'm terrified of heights, except for apparently if it comes to art. So I borrowed a 20-foot ladder from a friend, and I will be up to the very tippy top. My neighbors will just be standing there, phone in hand, doing it, waiting for me to fall. But no, I about 20 feet, 25 feet up.
Does it go out on the branches too, or is it just the trunk?
Yeah, let me see. I'm right here. So let's see if we can.
Oh, well, for those that are listening through the podcast apps, you're going to need to go to YouTube and see the video of this episode because Aimee's going to take us outside.
It's
pretty big. So I don't know.
See, Nick, there you go. There's your plug to drive people to the YouTube channel.
There we go. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That's really neat.
We've lost a few branches over the years, but we'll get a call from a neighbor, your branch is down. And my husband always says, she'll just knit it back on.
Well, for those that maybe don't knit or that doesn't appeal to them, which I don't know why yarn bombing would not appeal to anyone. But if it doesn't, what are some fun projects that maybe you guys could talk about or suggest? And I think not just for family activities, because I think it can be a nice escape and distraction for individuals as well. But what are some things that people maybe can do?
Well, we have found through various studies that art's good for anybody, even if you don't feel like you're good at it. Mm-hmm. So I always say, if you're going to start drawing, draw something you love. I love my family, but I also love my dog. So I do a lot of pictures of my dog. And kids are way more open to that. So drawing is always good for your brain. Draw your coffee cup in the morning. It puts you in that moment and paying attention to those details and not all that.
Not your news feed.
news cycle that we're all kind of stuck in right now.
Yeah. I know that for me, so one of the things that I got or have received over the course of a couple of birthdays and Christmases are the adult coloring books. So kind of like the very intricate coloring books. And I haven't had like the rate, so I don't draw. I can kind of color things in and I can paint a little bit, but drawing is not my strong suit. But I finally went and bought some of the watercolor brush pens.
Oh, I love those.
That is something that for me, kind of coloring in one of those pages is something that is really kind of, it's therapeutic. It's something that I could focus on for an extended period of time. And it's just a good thing to focus on and kind of get my brain away from just the daily life and the news. And I can do it at the kitchen table. I can do it in my room. But that's been a fun thing that I've been doing kind of on the side. And then with my son, we do a lot of chalk art on the sidewalk. So we definitely do quite a bit of that. And I've seen a ton of that in our neighborhood as well. And some of them are really elaborate and really cool. And so those are some of the things that we've been doing. Something that's a little different. We've taken the chalk and I've created like a little obstacle course like in our driveway that my son's learning how to ride his little Razor scooter. We'll fill the whole entire driveway up with just lines of chalk that he has to kind of follow and go that way. So that's been some of the things that we've been doing.
We are in current process right now of clearing off a table and laying out all of the flat Lego pieces. And so we've got a family project. We're going to build a giant Lego city together. And that's one of the things we're going to do. We've also done, what is the YouTube Art Hub? We've done that as a family some on YouTube where we take turns, not really take turns. We just all together grab a pencil and some paper and learn to draw something, whether it's a cartoon character or a building, or I think one time we did the Eiffel Tower. That's been a fun project. My wife is very, very skilled at drawing and coloring. I am not so much. But it's fun and it is relaxing. It's hard for me to do those things because all I can see is that it's not perfect and I want it to be the thing I want it to be and my hand doesn't move that way. But when you let yourself relax, it's really nice and fun.
Another one I just assigned my younger kids at school is if you take those Lego pieces and color them with a marker, you can print with them and you can make robots and
that's awesome.
All kinds of things.
So just like color the outside? Yeah,
like, the bottom that has the square.
Uh-huh.
And you just print with it. And so we did that.
Oh, neat.
Made robots. And I tried a little, a lot of things are round. Like my daughter takes allergy medicine. So they're round, so you can color that and then print with it. So it's gonna be perfect, but you can make robots or faces or, stuff like that. And we've also done a lot of nature art, like making faces with yard debris or making mandalas to be in the moment with things that you have readily on hand, because I don't want to go to a store or order anything else. Right.
We talked a little bit about the mandalas before we started recording. Describe for me what exactly it is. I still don't have a great feel for what that is.
It's typically a circle, and it's a very so at school I use them to teach symmetry and the difference between regular symmetry and radial symmetry. So you just very purposefully put items in a circle. So I've seen some that are rocks on the outside and then sticks to divide it. What I always teach kids that they're the most familiar with are hubcaps. Hubcaps are radially symmetrical.
Okay.
But you just lay out things and you have to be fully in that moment to make it perfectly symmetrical, and you're thinking about the placement, and it's just rocks and sticks and maybe some dandelions. So you can leave it on the ground for other people to find. Like I know we can walk at the park by my house, but we can't play there anymore.
Right.
So it's a fun, very focused one that for those of you like Nick, who want it to be perfect. You can make it perfect without.
I don't know that it's so much about being
trying.
perfect, but I want it to match the image that's in my head.
Right.
And for me, I never learned really how to transfer, from my brain to the pen or pencil in my hand.
Well, and art is everywhere. Years ago, we were at that park where the water park is. You know that park?
Harris Park.
Yeah. And it has a trail, and I have pictures of it on my phone where somebody before us had categorized items, and it was amazing. So they had all those gum ball things, and then a stack of sticks, and then a stack of rocks. Loved it. I loved the look of it. And then my kids were like 3 and 1 at the time, and they messed them all up, and I felt all this anxiety.
No!
Yeah, someone worked really hard at that.
I know, and it looked so great. So
some of the things that I've been seeing more of too, that we talked about before coming on the show, is the rock painting. We've seen a lot of rocks. Yeah, or just people posting pictures of their rocks to Facebook too. And so, and those are really easy to paint. You don't have to have a lot of materials to do that with. Really kind of, at least if it's just temporary, or just something to do, you just use whatever kind of paint you have on hand. And
Right.
yeah,
there were a lot left on my yarn bombings at City Hall. A lot of rocks.
Oh, that's really
That's
neat.
neat.
That was really cool.
My
Well, and
favorite one said Lee's Summit Rocks. That was my favorite one.
I like too that things that a lot of people are going to those things that also pass a message, I think, which is nice because that it means something to the person that made it, and then it's also going to mean something to the person that finds it or sees it too. So I really like that. I think that's part of why those have taken off the way they do, and they become such viral things, right? That somebody sees it, picks it up, maybe drops it in a different location. Or I've even seen people who found ones that mean something to them, and they keep them and they put them in their windowsill. So that's pretty neat. This is probably an unfair question, Glenda, because you are a trained musician. That was your major and your focus. But does playing music and say coloring or playing with your new watercolor pens, does that give you the same experience, the same feelings?
I think it's it's the same but different. I think for me, what I really appreciate about whether I'm playing music, playing my violin, or if I'm doing something, with art or being creative, or even if I also do photography too. So even if I'm doing photography, I think what it does, it gives me something to focus on. Like something, it lets my right brain work a little bit. My left brain works quite hard with all of my work. But when I get into that creative moment, it kind of allows my right brain to work a little bit more. And so it's really relaxing for me. It's something that I can focus on. I find that when I'm playing music, I'm able to focus a lot more, I think, on probably my emotional well-being, I think. Because music to me, it kind of hits you in those different types of ways. Something that I also learned too throughout the course of my training as a musician is that just kind of, because so much of our bodies go into how we play, that my feelings and my emotions can actually come out in my music. So if I'm feeling really tense and really uptight about something or really agitated, no matter how hard I try, that still comes through in whatever piece of music I'm playing. And so if I need to play a slow, tranquil, beautiful piece, that forces me to change my whole emotional being at that moment. So I have to it forces me to kind of transition to a much more relaxed way of being. And so at least when I was growing up as a kid, and even probably now, I usually use music quite a bit to kind of help get me into a more peaceful way of being, in a more peaceful place. And so with art, if I'm doing something more visually creative, it's strictly, for the most part, something for me to just like focus on, to kind of break away from the reality of the day and then just focus on something completely separate.
Hi, I'm Jane Monroe, owner of Embrace the Grape and District 4 resident. Donnie Funk has my vote for City Council, and here's why. Donnie's time serving on the Planning Commission, his experience in the construction industry, and his work as a small business owner has given him the insight we need on City Council. This means that Donnie knows the questions to ask to get accountability for our tax dollars. Donnie Funk is a strong advocate for public safety and will work to ensure police and firefighters, along with all city employees, are well cared for. Join me in voting Funk for 4.
Aimee, we've talked a lot about yarn art that you like to do. What are other mediums and things you enjoy doing?
I do a lot of printmaking. So I was a fiber major, and I used to dye a lot of fabric and do a lot of silkscreen printing. So I still do that some, but I've gotten into painting a lot lately because it's a more immediate thing if I just do acrylic painting. So I've done that. I'm sad because a lot of shows have been canceled this year. I really every show I had coming up, they're all canceled. So
Right.
It's a hard time as an artist because I'm making a lot of work, but I'm not really showing a lot of work outside of Instagram or something. So I do a lot of the show I had at City Hall were printmaking pieces on paper. So I had a lot of positive feedback from that show. I've also done a lot of collage work, which anybody can do. It's just cutting and gluing. And I'm always doing something, I would say.
Is it just kind of your way to cope? Is that the right?
I've always made art. I mean, even as a child, I made art. My parents built a house when I was really little, and someone left used motor oil out, and I decided to draw a huge mural with used motor oil on brand new drywall. So it's like the family story of, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, you have to replace the drywall. There is no,
Yes.
like, so that's always what I've done. Always. And I always tell kids, I have books from when I was a kid and I drew on every page. Like, I wrote my name, I drew, I tried to make every picture better. So I think that's sort of just who I am.
I like it. I like that. Well, okay, so we've said a few ideas, a few things out there. I know there are many things, and that's the fun part of the arts, right? Is it can be anything. It can be art, can be so many different things. Glenda, tell people again what they should do to share it out, to be a part, and we're going to give some stuff away.
Absolutely. So as they create their art and they want to share it to the Lee's Summit Arts Council's social media pages. So we have Facebook and Instagram. So just be sure to tag us. We're at LS Arts Council on both Facebook and Instagram. And then also use the hashtag ArtsLS. And, again, no matter what you're creating, if you're creating something and you want to share it, just share it to those platforms. And what we will do is we'll hold a little drawing. And so this will post on a Friday. So we said April 24th, right?
Let's say next Friday. Next Friday, we'll do a drawing of
24th.
anyone who's tagged Lee's Summit Arts Council and the hashtag ArtsLS.
Mm-hmm.
We will put you in a drawing.
Yep, we'll do a drawing and find something fun to give away. It'll probably be some Lee's Summit swag.
We'll make something fun.
We'll find something fun to give away.
Well, I want to thank you both for taking a little bit of time on we're recording this on a Thursday, but for taking a little bit of time just to chat about art and fun things and some ideas for people to do both by themselves and with their families, as we all find different ways to get through being stuck at home. It's hard, and it's okay to say that it's hard, but we can find fun things to do. Aimee, Glenda, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and we will talk to everybody next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
That's it, guys.